kind of introduced me to Rick. Rick is also a New England native and was hoping to make it out tonight, but unfortunately he can't. And so Jason, the producer, he introduced me to Rick. He actually introduced me to a couple other folks as well. And we held auditions, and you know, there was something about Rick's presence in the audition, and we had him cold read some of the lines, and just kind of react to any instructions or any direction that I gave him, and he nailed it. I mean, what's interesting is he's actually not the same age as the part that was written. The part that was written was a lot younger, and kind of somebody who's in their mid-30s, and after Rick's audition, we're like, this is the guy, and like there was actually this like various parts in that I'd written into the script where like he's like playing with his hair, and that's how he's expressing that he's stressed. And during the audition, I was like, oh man, he has no hair. This isn't going to work. And I was like, what am I thinking? But it just of all the people that we auditioned about 5 or 6 people, and it was absolutely not the person I was expecting, but he gave the performance that I wanted during the audition, and he came in and just nailed it as far as I'm concerned, and I was extremely lucky to get him. He does theater acting in New York, and we were so lucky to get him.
Any other questions from the audience? Or?
Hi, Stuart. I just wanted to say I loved the movie. I thought it was very engrossing. And my question is, how long did it take to do the whole movie, from concept to, the movie?
It took a while, largely just because it was something that I was kind of doing on the back burner. And it took almost 3 years, but I mean, that's kind of not really an indication of how long it took if I were to do it all at once. But it took about a year in terms of writing it and hiring the crew, and then, the entire shoot was only 2 days. But then going into post-production, I just happened to travel a lot for my day job. And, it was the sort of thing where I live in New York. I'm from Boston originally. I hired an editor in New York, and we started editing at his place, and it was fantastic. And then I happened to have to travel, and what would happen is he'd send me an edit on Saturday, because he edits also for a living, and he works on proper jobs that can pay him like a real editor, which I could not. And so he'd do a cut of the movie Saturday morning, and I'd get up on Sunday and I'd watch it, and I'd write him a long email back, and he'd take that into account. And then and I did the same thing for color correction, sound design, sound mixing. Absolutely everything just kind of happened to take forever, but the entire thing took 3 years. But I think if I had dedicated, or been able to dedicate my entire time to it, it would have been much shorter. But this particular project was 3 years since I started, and now.
You working on anything new now, or?
Now I'm trying to adapt Greg Egan's Permutation City. There's a small section of that. It's a science fiction novel, and there's a small section of that I read and just blew me away, and I was really, really excited about it. So I just finished writing the script. We're contacting his representation to see if what they say. He's an Australian writer, so it's been trickier than somebody who's US based, but so far everything's moving ahead with that, and hopefully if all goes according to plan, we'll be shooting that this winter, and maybe there'll be another 1.5 years of post, depending on how much time I end up being able to dedicate it to it.
On that note, so did you? So you're a Chuck Palahniuk fan, I guess?
An enormous.
Okay. And did you get in touch with him as well?
I never spoke to him directly.
Okay.
It's just all his people.
Yeah.
So I would love to meet him, and actually apparently he came around New England recently and did some sort of book tour, book signing, and one of my best friend's mothers met him. I was like, oh, I can't believe I just But yeah, I never talked to him directly, unfortunately. I have no idea if he's read it or anything, but his people have.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
No, thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for